hold on.
Hey guys, welcome. It's a virtual REI Academy and is sponsoring this Teaching Tuesday, and just trying to always add value and talk about some different topics and try to do different topics every Tuesday so that it's for beginners, it's for advanced, medium, where no matter where you are, we're trying to add some value. So tonight we're going to talk about short-term rentals, otherwise known as Airbnb. I don't know what the politically correct word is, but basically the academy is putting these things together so that we can have a lot of courses and different things. And technology is failing us again.
Hold on, where?
There it is. It's at the bottom.
Here it is.
There it is.
Now, can they see this?
Can you see that?
Not yet.
Did you share it? Share it.
I'll get back to Zoom.
Oh, now it's coming.
See that?
There it is.
Finally.
Finally. So the academy has a bunch of courses on it. It's 30 plus instructors with a ton of years and just some added information on all kinds of stuff. So check out the website and do that now or later, whichever. So tonight we're going to talk about short-term rentals, and we've only done one, so we thought we would bring a authority on that subject, and it's going to be none other than our friend Ericka de Paula. And a little bit about Ericka, and then I'll let her tell her full story if she cares to. She worked at SpaceX, got into real estate investing, and we happened to meet her right at the height of COVID, March 2020. We had the most perfect ever wholesale deal ever in the history of wholesaling anything that took a year and a half. So I kind of tell this story every once in a while just because it's funny, but not only did we make a few dollars, and she made a lot of few dollars, and we got a friend out of it and probably potential partner for later on down the road. But the thing we like most about Ericka, she just goes out and does things. She just buys properties and she figures it out, creative, how to get the money, how to find them, how to turn them into something. If something goes wrong, she fixes it quickly, and it's just no nonsense. So that's the one thing that we love about her. And I'm going to turn it over to her, and she's going to teach all about short-term rentals. There should be some time for questions, and then we can get into question and answer at the end of her presentation. So without further ado, our good friend Ericka de Paula, who is the authority on Airbnb.
Awesome. Thank you, Jane and Sharon. I really appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and share my presentation that I kind of put together so people can take a look at it. I won't share this. I'll share the other one. Let's see. Save. So a little bit about myself. I can't believe this is happening right now. Give me one moment. Cancel. And I'll just share this other one. Stop sharing. Yeah, right before I was getting ready to log on, my computer totally just died on me, and I was like, no, this is not the time.
No, it is not the time.
Yeah, not the time at all. Boom. All right, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about short-term rentals and my journey with it. So little overview, I'm going to talk about the do nots, the do's, and is it a good fit for you? And then we can kind of have a conversation once we get to the end of the presentation and see if that's, if short-term rentals would be good for you. So a little bit about myself, as Jane mentioned, I started at SpaceX back in 2008, stocking the kitchen. That was my big job to do. Slowly work my way up. By the time I left, I was managing 50 people at the Cape Canaveral location and another 30 people in the California location. So I just learned as much as I could learn. Left SpaceX because it was the chaos of, working tons of hours and sleeping at the job and people getting hurt. I just decided it was time to move on. So got into a different side of aerospace, and then I decided I want to get into real estate. So I actually woke up one morning and was like, you know what? I want to have control of my own life. I'm going to become a realtor, because I thought that was the best way to get into it, which I was obviously wrong. So I did not become a realtor, but I did get introduced to a course on flipping paper, which essentially is wholesaling. So I learned all about wholesaling, then fix and flips. But I actually started in the fix and flip space. So in 2018, I bought my first property in August, bought my second property in September, and I just kept buying more properties. 2019, I quit my job in the aerospace industry, just started doing real estate full time. So a couple years ago, I had seen people getting into the short-term rental space, and my partner, Sally, she actually quit her teaching job. She was a high school math teacher at an inner city school. And I was flipping houses at the time. And, she's like, I think I want to get into short terms. And I was like, sounds good, do it. So she did. And I kind of watched like the money coming in, and I was like, whoa, this is incredible. I want to do this. So last year I decided not to flip anymore. I took all the money that I had and I just bought as many properties as I could. So from August to December of last year, I added an additional 12 or 13 units to my portfolio, and then started getting into the short-term rental. So this picture right here is actually the house that Jane and Sharon wholesaled to me. We redid it. We made it as a short-term rental. We actually currently have this property listed for sale, which I will share with you all here momentarily. All right. So the things you don't want to do. So I wanted to start with that first, because I just feel like it's a good place to start, like, I wish that I had this, like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, do this. But instead I was like, let me dive in and figure it out. So definitely the first thing you want to do is don't ignore your local laws and regulations. So call the city, call the county, find out what kind of restriction they have, because ultimately they can shut you down. And I had that happen to me. I have a house in Cocoa Beach. I had bought it little over $500,000. Remodeled it because it's right across the street from the beach. And I was like, this is going to be a great short-term rental. A month went by, crushed it in the money. And then all of a sudden, one of my guests sends me a photo, and it's a tab from code enforcement that says, you need to call me. And I was like, well, that's weird, because everyone said, and these weren't people who worked in the local laws and regulations, they're just people. Oh, there's no regulations in Cocoa Beach. And I didn't verify that. So I went ahead and was like, sweet. But apparently the house that I bought literally lied right on the line. It was the first house to be like, oh, this is different zoning. You can't do short-term rentals. And I was like, oh, so they got an anonymous tip that I was doing a short-term rental, and they got all the sites were sent to them. I believe it was somebody who I used to work with. But hey, it all worked out. Like, so end up getting this letter. They want me to shut everything down. I'm freaking out because my mortgage payment's pretty high. What am I going to do? I just spent $25,000 to put furniture into the place and get it where it needs to be. And now all of a sudden I can't rent it anymore. So I didn't cancel my reservations like they told me to, because I was trying to figure out another way. So what I did was I dug a little deeper into the laws and regulations, and I went on the Brevard Property Appraisers page, looked to see like, well, what is the zoning for this? And it said resort dwelling, 30 days or less. And I thought, well, that sounds like a short-term rental to me. So I called zoning and planning, and I spoke with a gentleman named Steve. Steve was, I don't think he liked his job very much. There wasn't very much excitement or anything. And he just said, yeah, I can send you the information. I said, okay, but I'm looking at it right now, and it says 30 days or less resort dwelling. Does that mean I can do a short-term rental? And his response was, I can only send you the information. And I said, so I can? And he goes, well, I can only give you the information. I can't tell you what it means, which kind of blew my mind. So I thought, okay. So I called code enforcement back, which then she was like, who told you this? And I was like, Steve told me. So she gave me 2 numbers to call. I called those 2 numbers for 2 weeks. The last day that I called them 6 times in a row, or 6 times that day. I was continuously leaving messages. Nobody called me back. So I said, you know what? I'm going to put it back on Airbnb. So I did. I relisted it, and that was back in April, and I've had 0 issues. Nobody from code enforcement has bothered me. Nobody from planning has bothered me, because I at least have the information that if they do come at me, like, well, then tell me what this means. Because what I see is I can do this, show me where I can't do it, because I'm looking at something that's showing me that I can. So since nobody said anything, now I'm backing up and running. And then it also happened on another property that I had in Cape Canaveral. But that was just it had a time limit. You have to rent it for at least 7 nights. No problem. So I changed my dates to 7 nights, and I'll go in there and tweak it when I have like a 3-day gap. So I'll open up those 3 days, then that way they can get booked. The other thing, don't buy a short-term rental without reviewing data and knowing, hey, this is actually a property that can make money for me. So a lot of people go in thinking, real estate is all about location, 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 which the short-term rental industry is similar. However, there's more than just the location. You can buy a property on the beach and it could not produce. I had a month in, I believe it was April, where on my beach rental, nobody booked it the whole month. And I'm like, why? What is happening? But I also didn't have the data at the time. I didn't understand how to analyze the data. I didn't understand how to find the data. I just went on and saw, oh, look, there's a whole bunch of short-term rentals on Airbnb. Oh, well, my place looks better than this place. I'll adjust my prices to make this. And then everyone's going to rent from me. It's not how it happens. Your data is actually your number one driving force. And it's going to show you and tell you where you can rent and where you shouldn't rent, and the seasonality of it. You can catch all your occupancy rates, because then that's how you're going to know, like, now you're controlling it. The next thing, big thing, don't hire friends and family to do your cleaning, unless they're in the business. I hired a couple of folks to clean for me. They started out pretty strong. Then all of a sudden they were kind of getting overwhelmed. I started getting bad reviews because of the cleaning. And once you start getting bad reviews, like, it takes a lot of work to get you out of that. Because reviews are basically they'll drop you down. So being a super host, which thank God I am, allows you more visibility. You actually get discounts as well. So if I were to go rent a short-term rental from someone, Airbnb is going to give me a discount for that, just because I am a super host. So yeah, like, cleanliness is huge. And I just thought, no, everybody knows how to clean. So I got rid of those 2 cleaners because they weren't doing that great. And I hired a really nice girl to go in there and clean my properties. And her first clean, I get a complaint that the towels are wet. And I'm like, the towels are wet? How are the towels wet? Another property, she left toenail clippings, a big wad of hair, a half-drank bottle on the side of the bed. And luckily I happened to be the next person that went in there and I saw it. But yeah, her excuse was, oh, I'm sorry, I was tired. And I was like, oh, of course. Oof, you're tired. Yes, that explains everything. I will let future guests know that my cleaner was tired. That's why your place isn't clean that great. Don't ding me on it. I won't send her back out because I don't know how she's going to do. But, so it's kind of stuff like that. Like, you want to get good business professionals. So now I actually have a professional company. They do work. They have other short-term rentals that they work with. They're amazing. They've literally taken off a huge load for me because they manage all the cleanings. They go back out if we need something. And now they're actually starting to buy my soaps, shampoos, conditioners, toilet papers, everything that we need for it. So instead of them sending me a message saying, hey, you're low and you need XYZ, now we've streamlined it to go, hey, here's the budget, buy it. Because I don't want to know about that. Like, I just want to keep it flowing so that I can focus on the higher level stuff. Another thing, you don't want to buy in an HOA neighborhood, which I'm sure most people know about. I, for some reason, was like, oh, let me try it. So that house that we just looked at, this one right here, the one that Jane and Sharon wholesale to me. I love this house. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's right next to the stadium's not too far away. You have all these great restaurants and bars and shopping to do. But the HOA is a nightmare. I finished remodeling the place, and after I remodeled it, I got 7 welcome citations for not asking them about the color. And I was like, it's the same color that it was, but okay. They wanted the mailbox repainted. So I painted it myself. Not that great of a painter, but it's painted. The grass, they said, oh, your grass is dying. No problem. I spray painted it. Looks great. There's just little things like that. So with the HOAs, like, now I stay away from them. Now, there are condos that have HOAs, but if you look at the regulations within the condos, there's a lot of them. I have a condo on the beach, and they're all about short-term rentals. It's a short-term rental resort, essentially. So just kind of pay attention to those kind of things, so you don't have to have the headaches. And that is why I'm selling this great house that I don't want to sell, but it's not producing me the kind of returns that I want. All right, now we'll go on to the do's of short-term rentals. Biggest things is, your photos. You want to get professional photos done. You can use your phone. There's some really great phones out there, but I really like to get, the professional folks in there, and then they do the first person photos, the close-ups. They know what they're doing. And then I don't have to do it because I'm not a photographer. Like, I probably have a picture of my dog in there and my cat and, like a kid, just, just use a professional on it. Design is important. Lucky for me, my partner is great when it comes to the design of the home. And what I mean by design is just the furnishings that you use. And she really has a knack for pulling it all together. And when I watched her do this, and also had to help her, it's a lot of work. So she enjoys it. So I'm grateful that I have somebody who can do that. Otherwise, if design's not something that you're strong in, or you're unsure, like, hire a local designer who has good ratings, and see what they would charge to furnish the property for you and get it ready. There's companies out there that will do that for you. Again, with the cleaners, get great cleaners, because that I feel it truly, that is your number one, like, greatest thing to have. Is if you don't have a clean property, these people are going to let you know about it. They have no problem saying, I'm going to leave you a low review. I've literally had people tell me, if you don't, I gave money back, but it wasn't enough in their opinion. So they said, I want more money, or I'm going to leave you a bad review. And I said, well, then leave me a bad review, because you're extorting me for money, and I will let Airbnb know that you are a bad person. So then it squashes it. They don't leave me a review. I don't leave them a review. We're good. If you're new, to short-term rentals, I suggest start with one, do one, self-manage it. If you're trying to build a business out of it, start with one, optimize it, learn everything about it. Because I really thought it was a lot easier than what it was. And money was just flowing in. And I was like, yes, this is great. And it was great. But once I started really looking at my numbers, and then I was like, oh, I could have done better. Like, I could have increased here, and I could have increased here. So when you're self-managing, I recommend kind of doing it slow. And I wasn't that slow person. Like I said, I bought 12 to 13 properties from August to December, because I had a goal and a mission and a vision, and I didn't fully understand or know everything. But I learned quickly. So yeah, if you've got one, people are going to ask you questions like, I get one that's like, oh, the AC doesn't work. And I'm like, no, you got to hold the 2 buttons together and then it'll work. Oh, okay, great. Or, where's the nearest restaurant? And I'm like, Google it. But, you have to respond to these things, because they want that hospitality. They want to be catered to. And it can be a lot of emotion when you get something and you're like, oh, you know, the last cleaner I had, she took all the keys and a key that was for a different house, she put in to another house. So the people checking in couldn't get into that house. And I said, where are the keys? Oh, I'm sorry. I was in a hurry and I was tired and I put them in the box, and I was like, oh my God. So that's when I knew I had to get rid of that cleaner. So with that, you know, when you manage one and then you can optimize it and know what it is that you're looking at, then you can start adding more because you know how to do it versus having this fire drill of like, oh my God, I got to get all these things working quickly. So, you know, back to the start on one platform, Airbnb, VRBO, booking.com. Booking.com is a good one. It's decent. I think if you have a smaller place that's just kind of like a 1-bedroom or an efficiency, I would probably put that on booking.com. Airbnb is definitely the number one where people go to majority of the time, but VRBO is a good one as well. So just start with one of those platforms and then really optimize your listing from there. So by optimizing your listing, you really want to understand have an understanding for like you're tracking the occupancy rate. Because when you start tracking your occupancy rate, that's where everything changes. I can actually give you guys a little example. I'm going to dip out of here. And are you still able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So here is a sheet that I have that I target my occupancy rate. So this is my beach condo.
Actually, Erica, we can just see your PowerPoint.
All right, let me do this. And then so I just kind of want to give you an idea so you can see like what an occupancy tracking. Can you see that now, the target occupancy rate?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So this sheet, what this does is it allows me this column right here, the seasonal occupation rate or occupancy rate. So this data I actually pulled myself. I pulled that from AirDNA. So I went back 5 years, 2018, and I looked at every single month. January. All right. What was the occupancy rate the last 5 years for this location in Cape Canaveral? So when I went on to AirDNA, I really honed in on, all right, this is a 1-bedroom. Even though it can kind of pass as a 2-bedroom, I still market it as a 1-bedroom, but it sleeps 6. So when I went back, so I looked at 5 years, then I actually just used 3 years, the last 3 years to get my seasonal occupancy rate. So it started at 65%. So then February, 85, 82, 78, you see. So basically what happens is I went in here and I filled everything out. So now I have data that's going to show me my seasonal rates are going to be here. So we're in July. So I'm going to be booked. My occupancy rate should be 78%. So I'm targeting that I should have at least 24. So when I look over here, it actually tells me you're under by 1. And then boop, let me just do this, July. So you're under by 1. So it's basically telling me my prices are looking good. I'm right where I need to be based off of my occupancy rate because I pulled that data. So now I know how much money, is coming in, and then it'll tell me. So like if I go down to September, we still have a few months. I have 8 bookings for September. So, my target is 8, but right now my target for today is 4. So I should have at least 4 bookings for September, but I have 8 bookings for September. So what my sheet is telling me is that I need to raise my rates. So I'm going to raise my rates by, I'm going to 10 to 20%. So I'm going to start with 20 because it's a bigger number. So I raise my rates. And now if in a week And like by 2 weeks goes by and I haven't got anything, because I'm going to check this every week, this spreadsheet. So I'm going to go, okay, well, now I've got 10 bookings. So then it may say you need to lower your rates or you need to raise your rates. Or if I only have 8 bookings and now we're at the end of August, it's going to tell me lower your rates. So then I'm going to lower my rates by 10%. And then I'll, a week later, I'll lower them again by another 10%, because now I'm tweaking the data. I'm making it work. I'm pulling in the people, so this sheet has actually, I come in here and I tweak it and I look to see where I'm at. And then I go and I tweak my short-term rental and then I'm good to go. So it's a really cool tool that I like to use. And now I'll go back to my presentation. All right. Oh, is that the wrong one? No. So here. All right, we'll come back down here. All right, let's just fast forward some. No, it's the dues. Okay, so that's how I optimize my occupancy rate and my properties, because when you're tracking something, now you know what you're doing versus like fingers crossed, hope I'm doing it right. Hope I get some bookings. Like there is no hoping. There's, oh, okay, I need to do this, so I do it. So the number one rule, in my opinion, data is crucial. That's what's going to make you successful or unsuccessful. If you don't have the data, you're literally just like winging it. It's like jumping off of a plane and hoping that everything is, like the guy on the corner of the street packed it for you. And you're like, okay, well, I'll give him a chance. It's kind of like that. When you don't have the data, you're gonna struggle. So AirDNA is my favorite when it comes to finding that information, my occupancy rates. It also provides daily rates or monthly rates. So then I went 5 months on that or 5 years as well, and then pulled that data. So then I can see, okay, prices are going up every year. Oh, well, this year the price went down. Okay, what's the average? And then I take that average and then I use that and I plug it into my system, into Airbnb. And then that's how I kind of know this is how I'm supposed to do it. STR Insights is another platform similar to AirDNA. It's a newer one. They're still kind of hashing out all the bugs and stuff like that. But I think that in the future, that's going to be a great tool. Price Labs allows you to optimize by doing your like Price Labs and Wheelhouse. It does the pricing for you. But if you don't know how to analyze your rates, you're basically just, winging it. And the one thing I love to do is I like to use AI to create my descriptions. That literally has saved me 3 hours of my time by coming up and going, okay, well, now I got to put all this stuff together. I just get on ChatGPT and I type it out. I have a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house, 75 feet away from the beach, located in Cocoa Beach. You can watch rocket launches. There's food nearby. Just very generic stuff, like an overview. And then I hit enter and then it provides this, oh, boom, here's this beautiful description. So my 3 minutes of typing, just brain dumping, has now turned into a beautiful description. And if I don't like it, then I'm like, hey, I don't like this. Do it again. Add this. So, I don't like this word, change it. Oh, it needs to be less than 500 characters. There's so many different things. So instead of spending, like I said, 4-5 hours, now I'm spending 30 minutes to an hour. It really has taken out a lot of the work so that I can get the listing up quicker. All right. So are short-term rentals a good fit for you? Time commitment's a huge thing. It takes a significant amount of time. You are literally, my phone's dinging right now and it's like, hey, so-and-so's checked in. Hey, did somebody come here? Did somebody come to the pool today? And I'm like, what does that even mean? Yes, you're at a pool house. I have my cleaner come once a week. Like, So these are little things that, I also have to let the guests know, hey, on Tuesdays, the pool guy comes, but sometimes he comes on Wednesdays and sometimes he comes on Thursday, and he doesn't have a specific time. He just kind of shows up during the week. So you like swimming in the pool, you like it to be clean, he's going to be there. Just the commitment on the biggest drain, in my opinion, is the correspondence back and forth between these folks. The little things that they need or want. Some guests are great. I just had a guy, he came down from New York with his family, and it's Florida. I'm in Florida. These properties are in Florida, blazing hot. AC's not working. And I'm like, oh God, all right. And I literally got the AC guy to fix it his last day, but he was such a great sport about it. His mom wasn't too happy about it, but just the interaction that I had with him, because it was like positive and he was appreciative, and I was appreciative that he wasn't like a jerk about it, because these things take time. So I actually offered him a 20% discount the next time he returns to any of my short-term rentals, whether they're in Brevard County or over in Tampa. I don't really care. He was such a great guest. I want to say thank you. But then you have other guests that are very draining. Oh, I found this or this or this, and it just takes so much time. And then, then you're having to correspond with the cleaning folks that didn't do their job correctly. And so all these little things, and then maintenance issues. I had a guy check in today, and he's like, hey, he sent probably like 10 photos of water that's on the floor and then water that's on the ceiling. And I'm like, great, I need a new roof. That's fantastic. But luckily, I already have that place set up to get a new roof. So therefore, my roofer's going over there tomorrow. I sent the cleaners back over there, clean everything up. Short-term rentals is a team sport. If you're going to do it on your own, you're not going to be doing that many. You're going to have like 2, maybe 3, and you're going to be exhausted. If you want to run it as a business, you want to hire people in. So I actually have somebody who does a lot of my correspondence for me. I like it. I pay her and she responds to them. And if she has a question about something, then she shoots me an email or a text message, and I'm like, boom, it's this. But then I'll still jump in from time to time to help out when, she hasn't gotten to it quick enough. So, expect to have a lot of your time taken from you until you're able to get it into a space where you're running it as a business. And all you have to do is a couple hours a week by looking over your occupancy sheets, your rates, and like making it more passive, because right now it's not a passive. If you're looking for passive income and you're going to do the work, short-term rentals is not the avenue. But if you're willing to put in the work right now, that time to build your business, build your brand, then eventually you can have it, and you can do it relatively quick. Another thing, like unpredictable income. It's unpredictable if you are not using any kind of data to predict how it's going to be. So, I had a season where April, I didn't have anyone. And I was like, what in the world? But if I had been paying attention to my numbers and looking at my occupancy rate, I just dove in head first. Hey, they're going to do great. And just because of location, which they did great during the season, but then you still have to make them work, and you have to be the one moving everything. And okay, I know this and I know this. I even have things not only on Airbnb. Right now I'm just on Airbnb, but eventually I'm going to be moving to another platform, a channel manager. So then the channel manager can then place it on Airbnb and VRBO and Booking.com and Find Rentals and all these other sites I had never even heard of. So, and, as I had stated earlier, the legal and regulatory issues, like depending on where you're at, you got to know your zoning laws, because they can shut you down, and then they'll, they restrict the Airbnbs. They can make your life hard by, sending, letters and violations and stuff like that, to where they'll just shut you down. If you've got like the hot house, then you're done. So then what do? What's the next thing? Does the rent in that market cover your mortgage payment? So you could just rent it. Is that an option? Could you use it could you rent it out to somebody for 7 months or a year? What kind of folks can you bring into it? So there's a lot of different things, like figuring out what's the best use for this house, which wasn't what I initially had done. So now that's what I do. I look at all angles. Okay, well, if it doesn't work out as a short term, but I have this data here that's showing me that it's going to do well. All right, but if it doesn't, can I use it as a long-term rental? And what are the rents there? Okay, here's the rents that I can get. So either way, I'm going to be okay. Or do I just want to sell it, get this one off my books, get something better somewhere, that I like? So yeah. And then now, does anyone have any questions? There's SEMA. Anyone have questions about short-term rentals or how to find your occupancy rate or what you need to do?
Yeah, I do actually. Thank you so much. This was a great presentation.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I was laughing with you on the Cocoa Beach zoning because that actually happened to me in Baltimore. I was going based on my realtor telling me, "Oh yeah, it's fine. You'll be able to rent it out," and it's killing it in June and get a cease and desist in July, right?
Right.
So yeah, that was not fun.
Yeah.
So I had to turn that into a long-term rental to negative cash flow a little bit on that one.
Yep.
On that note, yeah, I had several questions, but I'll start with the first one, which is obviously your goals, right? So you mentioned you had a mission, I had a vision. So what was that? You care to share that with us? And
My mission and vision was,
Mhm.
I thought the more properties I had, the more cash flow I was getting in. Cash flow. I didn't realize how hard I had to work for that cash to flow.
That's a good one.
But it definitely, I just, I had this vision of like, oh, this property's here. And like you said, oh, my realtor said it was fine. I had multiple realtors telling me, yeah, you can short-term rental here. And then now when I see listings and it's like Airbnb, and I'm like, you can't do an Airbnb here. It's in Satellite Beach. They don't allow it. Like, they're giving out false information and they're not doing it intentionally. They just think everything can be an Airbnb. So it really shifted, because I thought everybody was going to want to rent my spaces because they're beautiful. Which they're beautiful, but not everybody wants to rent them, and I wasn't paying attention to my pricing and adjusting and tweaking. And so therefore I didn't really do what was needed. I wasn't making it work. I just thought, great, I hired these people over here to clean this. I'll respond. That can't be too bad. And the responding part, I'm like, oh my God, you guys are sucking my soul. So I hired a girl who actually works in hospitality and she does that management for me now. But I just thought it would definitely be a lot easier for me to, have the money coming in. I didn't realize how hard it would be. And honestly, I've really loved the journey, even though there's been some difficult moments, but it's made me realize like, I can do anything. Like any situation that I get myself into, that's tough. I'm going to find a way to figure it out. And so far, like, that has been happening, and just the relationships that I've been building. And it's been great. I've met a lot of great people through this journey. I'm constantly learning, not just about short-term rentals, but how to do creative structuring, whatever I can do to make it work, master leasing with an option to buy, using options to secure properties. There's so many different things, Jane and Sharon, the three of us on Monday nights, we have another course that we were part of a class, and we decided, yeah, we'll head up the Monday night calls. And I've learned so much from being on those meetings, just to be there. And from that, I've continuously built these relationships that have made me successful, and that's why I do believe like it is a team sport, any part of real estate. If you want to scale and grow, you need to have a team. Otherwise, you're just going to be, working your butt off, and you're never really going to get to that space that you want to go. Because I want to be passively bringing in, I think my goal was like 10,000. And then I was like, oh, I can do more, and then I was like 20,000. I do more. And I can just see,
Yeah.
all the possibilities. And I'm like,
Mhm.
50,000, 100,000, it's all possible. And that's where people are like, oh, I only made $20. Like, how'd that happen? And I'm like, because you didn't work it. That's how it happened. So that was my goal.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You got some more questions?
I did. So yeah, like you. So also, I'm hearing this guy, V Venture. He pops up. He's a data guy as well, IT guy. So I think I've heard him talk about short-term rentals nationwide are taking a big hit. And are you experiencing a slowdown in your bookings?
So I did experience a slowdown, and that's because I was not managing and optimizing my business. I wasn't looking at my rates, because there are ways, like I tweaked some things today and I got 2 bookings, one that's requesting a party, one that's requesting a wedding. And I'm like, I don't know if there's enough room for how many people, oh, 50 to 60. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I reached out to my attorney and I'm like, hey, what can we do this? Is this legal? And he's like, send me the address for that property and I'll look into the regulations for you. I'm like, great, awesome, thank you. So he's going to get back to me tomorrow on that. Even just moving photos around, adding a description here, changing a description here, and changing the what is it? The pet fees. Like, okay, I allow pets, some places I do allow pets because my cottages, I bought them already furnished. So they're, they're still cute, but they're a little worn. So I'm like, I'm okay if a pet comes here. I didn't spend $20,000 on it, but the properties that I just remodeled and I just spent a lot of money putting into, with the furniture, I don't want your pet there.
Yeah.
I'll wait till it's all dingy. So yes, I have seen the slowdown. I've seen it with, my friends, but those are the people who aren't really watching and tracking. When you track your data and you look and you research that market, you have an AirDNA is a great space to be able to go, okay, well, let me take a look at this. Jane and Sharon, we were just talking the other day, they got a house. So I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, whoa, I think we can make kind of a lot of money on this. You want to try it? So we're going to kind of take a look at it, because if that's the case, then use it as a short-term rental. The data's there. It's going to tell you. The market flooded because everyone thought, oh, I'm going to do short-term rentals because it's easy. That's exactly what I thought. It's not easy. It's hard work. And when you put the work into it and you put that energy into it, you're going to get back what you put into it. So when you're optimizing your properties, you're going to do well. And if you're buying them in the right space, because you're looking at the data that's showing you people are coming here. This is what the occupancy rate has been for the last 3 years, for the last 5 years. There was a lull here. Okay, well, we had COVID, but then it picked back up. And then now it's still this, and I'm conservative with my numbers. So I look at that and go, okay, I can do this. So I think the people who don't know how to run it as a business, they're going to be struggling with, getting it. They'll be struggling to, maintain it because they don't know what they're doing.
That's a great point. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think Seema has a question that she just put in the chat.
Yeah, our short-term rental classified as A, B, C, depending on the area. I have not seen anything as far as like the classifications like that, like it is with the multifamily. But I mean, you could classify it, I look at areas, the different areas that, like Brevard County, it's the Space Coast capital of the world. A lot of things are coming into it. There's a lot of growth. There's a lot of jobs that are coming, but just because they're coming, if I'm not optimizing and working it, I'm not making the money that needs to be made. Any other questions?
I actually had one if nobody else did.
Okay.
That was a fantastic presentation. Thank you so much. It was very thorough. I learned a lot more as well. when you're talking to people that might want to get into short-term rentals, would you suggest that they add that as a new tool to their tool belt, or is that like a full-time, you would just do short-term rentals only?
It depends on how you're going to do it. If you are going to be managing it yourself and you're not going to hire out like a VA to do the correspondence, or even some, like the girl that I have, she works at one of the hotels. So when they don't have space, she's like, oh, well, I know of a short-term rental. And I'm like, yes. So having all those networks with people is also beneficial, but really optimizing your properties by looking at your occupancy rates and then looking, pulling the data for the rates that are there that have been the last 5 years, that really helps. If you're adding it to your tool belt in the sense of like, hey, I got a short-term rental, and you got to do a lot of work for it, this is one of the things, like, I thought it was going to be substantially easier than what it turned out to be. But the lessons that I've learned from it, and then, the resilience and the like, oh my God moments. And it really, like, now I do have that because I have that as in my tool belt, because I do enjoy it. I enjoy the aspect of, I can't tell you how many times I was like, I'm hiring Evolve. They're terrible. But I was just like, oh my God, I'm so tired of like dealing with these people. And I thought, it's okay. Just, you're going to get this. All right. Hire this person, get a person in for this. Getting the right people is crucial for this to work. So once you have your team and they're doing the day-to-day stuff, so that you can look at that higher end stuff and go, okay, hey, I just need to tweak this here. And you're just doing the tweaking versus the doing of the jobs. It's way easier. Now I definitely feel more comfortable and confident with all the things that I've learned. I initially started out using a platform called Hostfully because it's a channel platform. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be on Airbnb and VRBO and booking.com and all these sites I've never even heard of. How amazing. And then I was on all of them and I'm like, well, why is nothing getting booked? So then I was like, oh God, take everything off of it, start over. And then I just put everything on Airbnb, and I started really learning about the optimization within Airbnb to promote my properties. And now the next phase is, okay, let's go back. Because I have 8 short-term rentals over in Brevard, 12 total between Brevard and Tampa. And I'm like, I don't have to be stressing out about this stuff. Like now that I have run through things with folks, and I kind of know what I'm doing now, it's a lot easier. So I definitely would say that when you learn how to do it the right way, it makes it substantially easier.
Makes a lot of sense.
Time. Yeah.
And when you evaluate the property that you're going to buy, is it similar to buying for a flip or for a regular rental? How do you adjust your numbers?
I look at all the angles because I was a flipper. So I like to BRRRR properties. So then this way I can create the equity and have a very nice property. And if for some reason I do need to go, okay, I need money for this, then I'm able to go, all right, I'm going to put a second note on this for somebody else. So then I'm able to shuffle, or maybe I sell part of the equity, or I give an option or something like that. So basically, I look at all the different angles, because if it doesn't pan out the way that the data said, then I need to sell. So that's why with, the house that you guys wholesaled me, I love that house. I hate the neighbors. I hate the neighborhood. But I love the location, but I need to sell that house. And then there's another house where I'm like, okay, well, this one says I can make $55,000 a year, but I don't, I don't want to have it that far away. So I'm selling it. And then what I am doing is looking at properties in areas that I really like and going, okay, what properties are here that I want, that I can use as a short-term rental? You know, perhaps I've got a property in Merritt Island that I'm going to pick up as a master lease. It's a, you know, little old lady. She is moving up north, but she wants to keep like the one bedroom side that she has. I'm like, no problem. So we're having a conversation. I'm going to go see her tomorrow, look at the property. It needs a little bit of work done. So I'll go ahead and master lease it for $1,200, paint it, fix it up a bit, and then slowly, eventually work into getting the option, because right now she doesn't want to sell it. But I'm hoping that maybe once we have the conversation and I'm like, hey, like, I know you need some money right now. You know, I can fix up this property. You can still use it. I know you don't want to sell it, but in the future, I'd like to buy it.
Maybe briefly explain what master lease is in case somebody here doesn't know exactly what it means.
Yeah. So a master lease basically allows me to have all rights to the property as an owner, without being able to sell it, of course. But, you know, I can rent it to somebody else. I can, you know, do whatever I need to do to that property on behalf of the owner as if I was an owner. And then it's that arbitrage. So now basically, like, I'm a professional landlord because I'm not a realtor. So I'm not a property manager. That's illegal. But I'm a professional landlord and I master lease these properties. And then, so I'm going to rent it from her for $1,200, but I can rent it to somebody else for $2,000. So then that $800 spread, the arbitrage, that's what I'll get every month from it.
I think Christian has a question. Do you do short-term rentals out of state as well too?
Not at the moment. I have found ways to build teams out of state. Well, I'm open to it, but I don't have any at the moment.
Jane said we're going to do
We're
some
gonna
with
do
you.
some.
Good. That's what I'm talking about. I like it. How much cash flow can one net on a short term versus a long term? So I actually have a couple properties right now. Here, let me share my screen again and I can show you some of the numbers. So you can get an idea. All right, so this property I own is in Tampa. It's in Hyde Park, beautiful area. Is this the one that I want to do? So yeah, so this particular property, so I have this is my performance tracking sheet. So then this way I know like all my expenses, I already have them in here because I know what they're going to be. And then I put in how much I got in my bookings. So you can see I net 1262 here in January. In February, it was, you know, 33, in March 25, in April 2000, in May 1,000. So that right there just shows you like how much are you netting on a long term.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay, good. Yeah, because when you look at it, and that's why tracking is so important, so you can see versus kind of having like I think I'm making about 800. So I have all my expenses already drawn out. I know what it is. And then this way I can see, oh, I made this for this month. I made this for this month. I made this for this month. And then I also have it tracked to go, you know, my expenses plus how much I'm supposed to make, because that particular property was projected, I think, to make like 46 or 48,000 a year. So it's kind of like evening it out. So it's like money comes in and then it's like it drops the amount, you know, like of what I'm making, or of my negative. So we're just halfway through the year. As soon as I get July plugged into there, now I'm already going to be positive of my cash flow. So it shows how much I'm making. So I'm predicting based off of the data that I will do very well.
And the expenses includes the mortgage, right?
Correct. Includes the
Wow.
mortgages, the HOA, all the utilities, everything.
So you're cash flowing like 1,000 to 2,000 to 3,000 a month. Wow, that's amazing.
off of that property. But then
Yeah.
there's some, there's some where it's like it didn't get rented, so I made nothing, so now I've got better a better handle on what it is that I need to do to make those numbers. Anybody else have any questions?
How much on average do you pay or does it cost to furnish? And where's good places that you use to get furnishings? How do you do that?
So it varies. Rooms to go is a good one because they have 0% interest. Sally did a lot of stuff on marketplace. She actually found a local stager who is selling his stuff on Facebook. So we're able to get like nice quality things for discounted prices. So she's really gotten good at it. We had a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and she furnished that, and I think it was like $6,500, just from marketplace and using that guy. But then we've also had some depending on the quality of home. So like that Vieira home, that was like 20 grand, super nice furniture. But we also got like pretty good discounts on it because we were buying so much. But yeah, like there's a lot of what's it called? There is a lot of people who spend money and they don't realize like how much it's going to cost. So it could cost, like on average, I think a 5-bedroom should cost about 20 to 25,000. But if you can really like, get it off marketplace, and you want to kind of like keep receipts and stuff like that too, because you want to be able to write all this stuff off. So yeah, there's a lot that, it just depends on what kind of furnishings you're using. What kind of property is it? Is it a higher end property? Is it a luxury property? So you want to have higher end things, or is it kind of like, hey, this is like $100 a night, so I'm not, I'll use like rooms to go stuff.
Just a quick question. When you're talking
Yeah.
about AirDNA and you look back 5 years and then you actually take the data from 3 years, how did you work COVID? And I guess, was it very different during COVID for Airbnb? Was it not? Or how did you actually move that into your estimates?
Actually, it depended. So there were some areas that it literally was like didn't do well during COVID. And then there were some areas where some properties that it was like it was higher during COVID. And I was like,
Wow.
Interesting. That's very, very interesting. So it just depends on the location.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? I do want to be cognizant of everybody's time. We appreciate you being here. Any other questions? Before we could probably stay here all night and bombard her.
Well, I put
no.
my information in the chat, my email, and that's my personal number. If anybody wants to call or has questions or anything, I'm more than happy.
Thank you so much for that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think, and just for everybody, I think 2 points to drive home with this presentation is, Ericka was, she can get out of any situation, but, until she really honed in on her numbers, that's what took her from just, doing Airbnbs to being the actual authority on how to run this like a business. And number 2, and we keep honing in on it, is relationships. So, all this real estate stuff just comes down to, different relationships with different people. You never know how things are going to turn out or who's going to be your next business partner. Or, we're seeing, Sherry's on tonight. We appreciate you being here again. She's up in Pennsylvania and, we have a relationship with her, and Ericka does. Seema's on here from Sarasota. All the Baltimore folks. So reach out to these people. If you're looking to do a Airbnb, then, certainly reach out to Ericka, because she's in this group now. Maybe we can get her to teach a whole course on it at some point to put on the website for Virtual REI Academy. I just put her on the spot. Just say yes.
Yes.
Anyway, so we appreciate everybody being here Tuesday. We're just trying to make this a little community and get everybody where we can all be successful. Check out the Virtual REI Academy, and multifamilies there too. So passive cash flow for life. And we appreciate everybody being here. Erica, thanks again. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And maybe we can get you back in here for an advanced course later on.
Would love to. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night, everyone. Thank you. Bye, Sherry. Bye,
Bye. Thank
Seema.
you.
Bye, Jean.